If you wanted a mid-engine exotic in the late 1960s, your shopping list was short and your wallet had better be deep. At the entry level, you had the Lotus Europa. Step up, and you were looking at the Ferrari 246 Dino. Go further still, and you had the Lamborghini Miura at the very top. These were magnificent machines. They were also nightmares to live with if you happened to be an American buyer. Parts had to be sourced from England or Italy. Qualified mechanics were almost impossible to find. And if something broke, and something always broke, you were looking at months of downtime waiting for parts to arrive from overseas. But what if someone built a mid-engine exotic with all the beauty of a Ferrari, all the engineering of a proper European sports car, but powered by an American V8 that any shade tree mechanic in any small town could work on? What if it cost half the price of a Miura? And what if it was so fast on a racetrack that it forced Porsche to accelerate the development of the 911 Carrera RS just to keep up? That car existed, and this is the story of the de Tomaso Pantera. The man behind the Pantera had one of the most extraordinary backstories in automotive history. Alejandro de Tomaso was born in 1928 in Buenos Aires, Argentina, into a politically prominent family. His father had served as Minister of Agriculture of Argentina before dying of a heart attack at just 44 years old. Alejandro left school at 15 to manage the family's cattle ranches, but he had two passions that the countryside couldn't contain: racing and revolution. In 1955, de Tomaso was implicated in a plot to overthrow Argentine President Juan Perón. When the attempt failed, he fled the country for good, landing in Modena, Italy, the beating heart of Italian motorsport, home to Ferrari, Maserati, and a culture that breathed racing. In Modena, de Tomaso found work as a test driver for OSEO, the small racing outfit founded by the Maserati brothers. It was there that he met Elizabeth Haskell, an American heiress who raced her own cars and happened to be the granddaughter of William C. Durant, one of the founders of General Motors. They married, and by 1959, de Tomaso had founded his own car company right there in Modena. His first road car was the Vallelunga, just 59 built. His second was the Mangusta, a Ford V8-powered mid-engine machine, born partly from a business deal with Carroll Shelby that went sideways. About 400 Mangustas were built. The car wasn't perfect, but it served as the critical proof of concept. The Mangusta walked so that the Pantera could run. More importantly, it established the Ford relationship that would change everything. Enter Lee Iacocca. The head of Ford North America had been watching de Tomaso closely. Ford had previously tried and failed to acquire Ferrari, and Iacocca saw an opportunity: an exotic sports car sold through Lincoln Mercury dealerships across America, with full dealer support, American parts availability, and a price that would make the Italian brands very uncomfortable. De Tomaso assembled a dream team. The body was designed by Tom Ciarda at Ghia. The engineering was handled by Gianpaolo Dallara, the same Dallara that de Tomaso had lured away from Lamborghini, where he had helped engineer the Miura. The man who helped create the greatest mid-engine supercar of the 1960s was now engineering its most affordable competitor. When the Pantera debuted at the 1970 New York Auto Show, the reaction was immediate. Low-slung, wedge-shaped, with flip-up headlights and sculpted Italian proportions, it looked absolutely menacing. Underneath, a brand-new steel monocoque chassis replaced the Mangusta's backbone design, giving it a stiffer, more refined platform. Four-wheel independent suspension with coilover shocks, disc brakes at all four corners, and manual rack and pinion steering made this a car engineered to be driven hard. At the heart sat a mid-mounted Ford 351 Cleveland V8, producing around 330 horsepower, mated to a ZF 5-speed transaxle. In a car weighing just 3,150 pounds dry, the math was devastating. 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. Quarter mile in the high 13 seconds. Top speed around 160 miles per hour. Those were numbers that matched cars costing 3 or 4 times as much. And the price? Just under $10,000. The Lamborghini Miura, which shared the same wheelbase, cost roughly double that. If that Ford 351 ever needed work, you didn't need a specialist who spoke Italian. You just drove to your local Ford dealer. By 1971, the first Panteras were rolling into Lincoln Mercury dealerships, and they sold well. Over 1,000 cars in the first year in the US alone. But in classic Italian fashion, not everything was perfect. The hand-built cars had inconsistent panel gaps, virtually no rust-proofing, and some overheating issues. Ford's solution was decisive. They acquired a controlling stake in De Tomaso and overhauled production to bring the cars up to a higher quality standard. Perhaps the most famous Pantera owner was Elvis Presley, who bought a yellow 1971 model. The story goes that after an argument with his girlfriend, Elvis wanted to make a dramatic exit with a tire-shredding burnout, but the Pantera wouldn't start. True to form, the king pulled out a Colt 45 and shot the car, putting bullets through the steering wheel and floor pan. That Pantera, bullet holes and all, now sits in the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles. But the Pantera's story goes far beyond celebrity ownership. What this car did on racetracks in the 1970s is one of the most underappreciated chapters in motorsport history. Ford financed a Group 4 racing program in 1972, entering Panteras into the World Sports Car Championship and the 24 Hours of Le Mans, alongside Porsche 911s, Ferrari Daytonas, and Corvettes. The Group 4 cars ran engines making 440 to 500 horsepower, but it was the Group 3 cars, closer to production spec, that truly rattled the establishment. With the 351 Cleveland tuned to 345 horsepower and a top speed of nearly 174 miles per hour, these cars were so competitive, they forced Porsche to accelerate development of the 911 Carrera RS and RSR. A car you could buy at a Lincoln Mercury dealership was fast enough to make Porsche panic. Just under 40 Group 3 cars were built, racking up victories in circuit races, hill climbs, and endurance events throughout the decade. But 1975 marked a turning point. The 351 Cleveland was discontinued in the US, and with the oil crisis choking sales, Ford pulled the plug on American distribution after moving roughly 6,100 Panteras. That could have been the end. For most cars, it would have been. It wasn't. De Tomaso sourced 351 Cleveland engines from Ford Australia and continued building Panteras for European and gray market buyers. The car evolved through increasingly wild variants. The Lusso models added crash-compliant bumpers and interior refinements that earned Road and Track's Import Car of the Year. The European GT brought 345 horsepower. Then, in 1980, the GT5 arrived with giant wheel arch flares, 345 section rear tires, a massive rear wing, and over 350 horsepower. The GT5S followed with the same aggressive stance but smoother bodywork. Just over 400 GT5 and GT5S cars were built through the 1980s. And just when everyone thought the Pantera was finished, 1990 brought one final act. The Pantera 90Si was redesigned by Marcello Gandini, the man who penned the Miura, the Countach, and the Diablo. Gandini captured the essence of the original while making it look entirely modern, wrapping a brand new tubular frame chassis with revised suspension and improved brakes. The one compromise was the engine. The 351 Cleveland was no longer produced anywhere, so De Tomaso fitted a Ford 302 with electronic fuel injection at around 255 horsepower. Just 41 were built before the Pantera was phased out in 1993. Over 7,000 Panteras were built across a 23-year production run. Today, the Pantera is one of the most revered classics in the world and a fantastic restomod candidate, because that American V8 means you can build one into a genuine monster using off-the-shelf Ford parts at a fraction of what it would cost to modify a comparable Ferrari. The Pantera was conceived by a revolutionary who fled his homeland, designed by an American working in Italy, engineered by the man who built the Miura, championed by Lee Iacocca, sold through Lincoln Mercury dealerships, shot by the king of rock and roll, and fast enough on a racetrack to make Porsche rethink their entire GT strategy. For my money, it might just be the greatest automotive bargain of the 20th century. Let me know in the comments down below if you would take a Pantera over a Ferrari. Personally, I know where I stand, but thank you all for watching. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me out. Until next time, enthusiasts.